What if I told you that a basketball game could mean more than just a victory? That love could be on the line? That a secret weapon would be on the bench while another one faltered?
What? You gotta be kidding me!
And that just because something's free doesn't mean it's guaranteed. What if I told you that Rip Hamilton was the second best player with a face mask? That selling paper isn't as important as selling the call? And that when white collar meets blue collar, sports are colorblind. ESPN presents a 30 for 30 special, The Warehouse Game.
This is the Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top four and nothing more. Andy, oh my goodness, we just got back from the St. Tammany Collectors Con. What a blast it was. Welcomed all of our new family and friends to the show. You're here. We're them. You haven't seen us like this yet, man. So much fun. Dude, did you have fun this weekend?
I had way too much fun. It was way too much fun.
Spent a lot of money.
Yeah.
Did a lot of shorts. Check out our shorts. We got shorts coming. Lots of shorts. I mean, we're gonna fly the shorts, man. There's so many shorts coming. But look,
saluting your shorts. We're doing all of them.
Yeah, salute your shorts. Let's do it. Let's do it. But hey, welcome to the family. Hey, I'm Kirk. This is Andy. We are the Rushmore Show. And let me just give you a quick rundown. Now that you're here, we are going to have we're ranked our top four. This month it's basketball, and we call them Rosie, TJ, Jazzy Jeff, Link, and George. For the guys on the mountain, you know what I'm saying. And so that's kind of how we rank them. We do it every week. And this week we're starting off with NCAA basketball stars. But look, if you're not into sports, that's fine. We got a little something for everybody. We do video games. We do music. We do movies. We do TV. We've done food. We do nostalgia. We've had fun summer things and Christmas things. Oh, and by the way, let's just get it out on the table. Don't hang out too long. If you're a little offended, we are both youth pastors and we enjoy sharing our faith. If you're of that, hey, and you're just concerned, you're interested, we have a faith playlist. We have all those playlists. Go check them out. We're here, the Rushmore Show. Andy, welcome our friends, man.
I am so thrilled that you guys are here. If you haven't already done it, like the video, share, subscribe, hit the bell, do all of those things. We post every week. We have a new video. We do month themes. It's just a blast. And, we're inviting all our new family in here. We love doing life with you. Look, we've talked to some of you guys while we were out there. If you want to collab with us, be on an episode, come chat with us, share your top four. You shared plenty of top fours with us this weekend. Share some more with us on the episodes. We would love for you to be there. Comment, let us know, send us a message. We will get you plugged in. But Kirk.
That's a great point, Andy. Never show up to the Rushmore Show without leaving your Rushmore, because that's the best part, is the banter that we have talking about it, is seeing, we are very different people, but we're very close. And it never fails. There are people that always call us out on just some of the randomness that we come out with. So welcome to the Rushmore Show. Welcome to the family. And everybody that's already in the family, tell everybody hello for us. This month, we're moving into springtime. We got March Madness is finishing up. And we've decided to end our kind of run with baseball from last year and move into basketball, just to get some out of the way, just to have a little bit of baseball, basketball, and football on our sports. So next week, we're going to do the GOATs. And this week, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to knock on some college. So what do you think about the Final Four and what it's going on right now? And tell us about your fandom real quick, because I know you're not nearly a fan as I am.
Yeah, so my favorite is this game. This is the greatest game to have ever happened. That's right behind me. The Office versus the warehouse. It was just.
And I was really concerned that you may be picking these guys on your rush.
I didn't. No, I didn't do that. I did actually pick some legit things through this month. But so for me, college basketball, I enjoy it so much more than I do the NBA, and specifically March Madness. And here's why. In the NBA, you know, in your playoffs, you're going to have a best of 7 series. In the NCAA, it's who is the best team for those 40 minutes, right? Like who is the best during that portion of time. Doesn't matter if they played 7-game series, we would probably have all the 1 seeds in. But what's awesome is this year specifically, we've got like a 9 seed, a 5 seed, a 6 seed. Like they're all over the place, right? Florida Atlantic is in it and stuff. And actually, we're taping it right now. We don't know who's going to be in the championship, but when this comes out, tonight is the championship. So a little time travel there. But yeah, so whoever winds up being in it, it's not your number 1 seeds. I also just love the fandom of college ball more than I do the pros. I feel like student sections are just insane, specifically in basketball. I mean, I know in football they are, but in basketball, like seeing them when the opposing team's at the free throw line and seeing all the ridiculousness that happens and the posters that are held up and all the traditions and the craziness that happens in college basketball student sections is amazing.
We're going to run through our favorite or our top 4 college basketball players ever.
Yeah.
And man, we've got a great guest. We've got a returning guest. And so let's not keep him off the curtain. Let's bring that dude on and let's get into our Rushmore of NCAA GOATs.
Let's go home, ladies and gentlemen, with his first shot.
It is time to build our mountains. And man, I don't know if we could pick a better guest. This guy's been on our show 2 times. He's a 2-time visitor, now a 3-time. And he is a huge basketball fan. I've seen this guy shoot and not miss like 50 times in a row. He's an excellent ball player. Back when we were doing the missions, we had a basketball gym in the missions place we were staying, and we shot basketball every day. And the dude is really good. He loves basketball. He loves sports in general, but he loves basketball the most, I think. But hey, we're gonna welcome back a guy that we know and love, Thomas Johnson. Welcome back. He's a TJ as well. Welcome back, TJ.
What's up?
Which is only like 3rd best. You're only 3rd best on this mountain because you're TJ. So there we go.
Okay.
But what's up, Thomas?
What's up, dude?
Hey, so Thomas, basketball fan. Who do you follow? You repping that orange right now?
All day, literally all day, every day.
Tennessee.
No one else.
So he is a Tennessee Volunteer fan.
No one else.
And nobody else. But who you going for in this Final Four? Who you got?
Only because I lived in Connecticut, UConn. I can't pull for FAU. They knocked me out.
Okay, but as of when this show comes out, they might already be gone. Both, either one of them might be gone.
Yeah.
So I mean, like,
that's
have
true.
to be gone.
That is true.
Yeah.
So when this show comes out on Monday, we have filmed this before it happened, before even the Final Fours happened. So we don't even know who they are. Me personally, I'm pulling for FAU and San Diego State. Miami would be 3rd, UConn last, just because I know UConn's got a nice trophy room as far as basketball goes, especially on the girls' side. Build this Rushmore for me, Thomas. What tell me about your fandom of a basketball, maybe some of your playing days. Tell me what you were thinking, and let's start this thing off. What's your Rosie like?
My criteria was people that I've seen. Because, like, obviously, I never saw Kareem play, even though you look at Kareem's career, he's the best college player ever. Like, it's non-debate. I mean, you could debate Pete Maravich, but that was my that was like what I wanted is people that I watched, and I was like, holy crap, like this dude's insane. And so when I was picking people, I just made it out of people that like just surprised me, and every time I watched them, it was like, are they going to go off for 30? Are they going to go off and shoot like 60%? Like, what are they going to do? So mine really is from like 2005 up, because that's when I really started watching, was around that period. My number 4, and it's mainly based off of because he had I'm a Tennessee fan and I freaking hate Florida. And this guy, 5 minutes left in the second half, he was not playing super great, but homeboy takes like 5 steps past half court and just hits a little hezzy, pulls up, sinks it, Jimmer Fredette. Dude, absolutely unbelievable. Averaged 28, almost 29 points a game, like roughly right under 5 assists. Was just an absolute, like, you can't put words to how good Jimmer Fredette was. I mean, his shooting was impeccable. That run with BYU was like one of the best. I mean, it's Steph Curry-esque run. Like, it was, I know it wasn't as great as Steph, but man, it was just so good to watch. And he was good for quite some time. Like, he wasn't just good for 1 year. He was good for quite a few years. I mean, national player.
He was one of the most legit shooters in the history of the NCAA.
Oh, absolutely. Dude, he was
just pure shooter. And from what I understand, he's like an international pure shooter right now, right? Isn't he playing like in Japan or something? Like,
he's playing in
like
China. That? Yeah, I think he was averaging like 40 a game in China or something like that.
He's like going off over there.
Wild. Yeah. Just never made it to the NBA.
And he's got a cool name like Jimmer.
Jimmer Fredette. Yeah, it's a really cool name.
Mm-hmm. Not Jimmy.
No, Jimmer.
It's just sad he never made it, man. It is. He was too slow, is what he said. I wasn't athletic enough.
So Jimmer is a fun name, like you said, because it's like if somebody's name was Jimmy, like Jimmer would be like, what's up, Jimmer? Or Jimmerson. Like,
it's kind of like the nickname for him.
Yeah.
That would be a nickname for a Jimmy or a James.
Did you know?
Right?
Did you know? I'm going to give you this, okay? I'm going to give you some fun facts about Jimmer Fredette, and I'm just pulling it up as you're doing this. Let me just say this now, and we kind of alluded to this. I don't know what the heck I'm talking about, okay? So today, I'm totally out of it, but the internet does. So did you know that Jimmer Fredette's full name is actually James Taft Fredette? There you go.
It is James.
It is James.
Yeah.
It is James. Here's another one. His mom called him Jimmer from birth because there are a lot of James and Jims in their family. And a friend from her childhood had a kid brother named Jimmer. Fact. There's a fact.
Random.
Jimmer could hit a 3-point shot when he was 5 years old, according to this website. He averaged just 7 points a game as a freshman at BYU. So that's why he's rosy. Only averaging 7. Anyway, that's all I have. There's a long list of facts on here. I don't want to read it. Oh, last fact. Here's the best one. I can't believe I forgot this one. Fact number 28 and a half. Jimmer loves to drink milk. So there's your facts. Okay. So Kirk.
Nice. Those ones are strong.
That's all I have for Jimmer. But yeah, I do remember him. But like I did, I watched a little college ball during that time. Obviously, he did play for the Pelicans for like a season. So
he did.
He was in the New Orleans Pelicans.
He did.
Like 2014 or something like that. So
yeah. And I was really, really rooting for him back in that time.
He also played with like 19 other teams. So I mean, there's that.
Yeah, he was kind of like an eighth man, if you will, because he was never the sixth man. He was always that extra guy to go in and eat some minutes up for a little bit. But yeah, he was I liked him. He was one of those like Birdman, right? Birdman was better than him, but like just one of those guys that you kind of follow. Good pick, Thomas. Love that. Andy, it is your turn. You are Mr. Google today, and we love that. But you're a sports fan.
Yes,
You've been a sports fan, and I know that you can roll out 4 basketball players from your childhood or whatever that you can pick out. But what were you thinking when you were like trying to pick this? Because I know your criteria does not fit my criteria. So Let's go.
Or Thomas's criteria, because I'm not going to just pick people that I watch play. In fact, out of my list, when we talked about doing this, there's one player who came to mind that was automatic. So he's just my George. I mean, it's just immediately that's where I went. These are, other than that, Google helped me. That was my criteria. Were they listed on a website as one of the top NCAA college basketball players of all time? And for those who watched last year around this time, one thing I hate about baseball, is statistics. I'm not a statistics guy. I don't like numbers. I think whatever. But other than telling you a name today, I don't have any other content. So I'm going to give some stats today for these players, which I have to. You know, they're the greats. So none of these are going to be a surprise. If you're talking about some of the goats to ever play basketball, college basketball in particular, these are going to be no doubt, right? Like without a doubt. Now my Benjamins later will be fun, and we'll get to that. But let's start with my Rosie, my number 4 on my list. I mean, you know, he's probably top 3 or 4 if you look anywhere, right, for college basketball. And I'm going to go with Bill Russell. Bill Russell is the Rosie, University of San Francisco. That's a university. What I found really cool was I looked at some averages, college averages. He averaged 20.7 points and 20.3 rebounds. He averaged 20. That's nuts. That's crazy.
That is pretty nuts.
He was playing against, you know, taxidermists and stuff back then, but you know, it's whatever. It doesn't matter. He's playing against farmers.
Taxidermists.
I don't know what did they do back then, but he was playing against people. But it doesn't matter. It's still 20 and 20. It doesn't matter who you're playing. Is intense, right? Here's a couple awards: 2-time NCAA champion, NCAA tournament most outstanding player, 2 times Helms Player of the Year, UPI College Player of the Year, WCC Player of the Year, 2-time consensus first team All-American. He's also one of 5 players in NCAA history to average 20, like we said before. He has the highest 2-game rebound total in Final Four history. He had 50 rebounds between 2 games. That's crazy. He led the 1955 NCAA tournament in scoring with 118 points. He's 7th all-time in career rebound average, which is that 20.3. He's 12th and 18th all-time in the most rebounds in a season with 609 and 594 rebounds in a season. 13th all-time in career rebounds, 1,606 rebounds. What? That's crazy. Wow. And then he's tied for 24th all-time in the highest rebounding average in a season. He averaged 21 rebounds a game in that one season. So obviously I'm not a stats guy, but if you know basketball enough, all of that's nuts, right? 20 and 20 is crazy. One of 5 players to ever do that, 1,600 rebounds. Just one of the greatest players. And then, you know, you talk about, I know we're not talking about pro basketball and, you know, after college, but obviously one of the most decorated careers out there. So, you know, he's got the famous picture with all the rings and everything. So, yeah, Bill Russell, my Rosie. Obviously didn't watch him play. We're talking about 1950s, but you got to respect it.
So next week, we're talking about professional GOATs. And I almost can guarantee that his name finds a way somewhere in many of those mountains. As far as college, like, he's one of those guys I don't really think of. And it's not because, I mean, I would have to Google him as well. I mean, he's a beast, right? Because he was so long ago. That's one of the reasons I kind of nailed my criteria down. But hearing those stats, oh yeah, he's definitely, I mean, there was a reason he became great in the end of his career. As college goes, he was probably, like you said, playing against taxidermists. The funny thing is, like, when they always talk about like Wilt Chamberlain when he scored 100. I mean, he was like 7-footish, and everybody else who was apparently playing was like 3-footish. The way they talk, no 3-point line.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it was a different kind of game back then. But Bill Russell, I mean, you can't. And I may be mistaken. He just passed away, didn't he? Didn't he just pass away recently? Yeah. I mean, so there was a lot of talk about that when that happened. If I remember correctly, you know, talking about GOAT status and why he never got the status. But man, University of San Francisco, come on, you're doing. I mean, wow.
That's why college basketball is so great.
It's so random.
It is great.
He does have a great documentary on Netflix. If you've never watched it, it's fantastic.
Kirk, we're going to move on to you. What's your criteria, man? I know you enjoy this stuff. I see Zion right there in front of you.
So, I put Zion on here on purpose just in case he don't get some love today, because he's not getting any love from me today because of my criteria. So, here you go. As far as basketball goes, it's probably, as far as playing, like actual playing, it's my second favorite sport to play, behind baseball and softball. I mean, I kind of put those together. But as far as watching basketball, I'm with you. I'm with you, Andy. NCAA is way better to watch, especially March Madness. I can watch just two random teams. Professional, I always followed players. So I always follow like specific players. And then out of the blue, New Orleans tries to buy the Timberwolves. And I become this huge Timberwolves fan for a few years. Kevin Garnett was over there. And I thought we were getting him, and it fell through. A couple of years later, we pull out the Hornets, which mind blowing. I loved the Hornets when I was a kid with Larry Johnson. They end up turning into the Pelicans. So yeah, I do cheer for the Pelicans, and one of the greatest college basketball players ever is on the Pelicans right now. And maybe one of you guys will talk about it, but I'm my criteria is this. So I'm kind of going with you, Thomas. We kind of talked about your criteria beforehand. I didn't think I would do a lot of justice to what my top four favorite are if I've never seen him, because I wouldn't say Babe Ruth in baseball, although that dude is, from what I read, is a GOAT, right? I mean, or a GOAT, right? And so I wouldn't do that because all the different things involved. So I'm going to go with just guys that I've seen. So that would put it mid to late 80s when I started kind of watching basketball on TV till now. And then the second thing is the reason Zion's eliminated. There are many college basketball players, especially since the NBA bargaining agreement, that only went to play college for 1 year because the NBA stopped allowing high school kids to be drafted like the Kobe's and the Sean Kemps and all the other guys that went straight to the pros. They stopped that and made them play 1 year. There are a ton of guys since that who only played 1 year that had phenomenal freshman seasons and then went on to get drafted in the top 10. Zion is one of them. And so I'm not gonna name any of those guys. So I'm gonna start off with mine. It is quite a homer pick. I am an LSU fan, and I am coming out with one of the best point guards I've ever seen play, and that is none other than Chris Jackson, who went on to pros. He converted to Islam and was named Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, and I followed that guy in pros. He was one of those guys I followed with the Nuggets, later on with the Grizzlies, and I think he's doing that 3-on-3 thing pretty recently. But if we go back to just his college days, he was definitely, as Dick Vitale would say, a diaper dandy. He was the freshman player of the year. He led LSU to two tournament. He got him to the tournament, which LSU doesn't go to the tournament very often. They're not really a basketball school, but they do have some really big names when it comes to basketball. Let's see. Two-time first-team All-American in 89 and 90, consensus National Freshman of the Year in 89, two-time first-team All-SEC, that's 88 and 90. He averaged, check this out, 30.2 points per game in his freshman and sophomore years. I mean, that's insane to me, making one of the most prolific scorers in college history. He set the NCAA freshman scoring record back in 88-89. With 965 points. He shot from 48.9% from the field, 35 behind the arc. 35% behind the arc as a freshman and a sophomore. The dude was he was a bucket, man. So and from the free throw line, he shot 85%. I mean, the guy to me is a beast. Here's another cool thing. He's from Biloxi, Mississippi, or Gulfport, Mississippi, which is pretty close to each other. And he still, from what I understand, lives out there to this day. When he converted to Islam, he was still staying out there in some unfortunate racist and I guess guys that were against his faith and his culture went there and like destroyed his home. I remember driving by his house just to see it. And they wrote all kinds of stuff all over it. But the guy was such a good guy. He was a good when he was at LSU. I remember at the Maravich Center, he was signing autographs. He was such a cool kid. Loved following him. But LSU, Chris Jackson, my Rosie. Later on, to go on to have a nice career in professional. Mahmoud Abdul Rauf. That's my game. That's my guy. Little homer pick, but he's one of the first ones that I ever remember watching where I started to fall in love with basketball. So as a young kid, that's one of the guys we were watching because we didn't have professional. So that's my pick, man. I'm going with Chris Jackson.
I don't know anything about him to share, to add. And it's not because it's a Crushmore. Honestly, have not heard his name until now. When I looked on the list, I didn't see his name on lists. I mean, everything you're saying, the 30 points, for those 2 seasons, that's amazing. I was just trying to read up some stuff and find some fun facts.
So if I remember correctly, his last year was another guy's first year, if I remember correctly. And so that was a time when I was watching all that. So
yeah. Anything to add to that one, Thomas?
Not really. I know he didn't have like in super crazy NBA career, but he actually is a trainer now. Like he helps train like up and coming NBA point guards and stuff like that.
Dude had excellent handles,
his court vision, like all of that was wild. Yeah, absolutely wild. He's got videos where he's like explaining just like little things that a guard could do that completely changed the game, and it's just mind blowing every time he talks about it. Every time I see it, I'm like, dude, that's just so smart. Like, who thinks of that stuff?
All right, man. So that's our Rosie, and now it's time to move on in to our next one, TJ, with TJ Jazzy Jeff. So Thomas, you're up with number 3.
Okay, so this guy would be hot. Like he probably, I would argue, number 1 on my list if he won a national championship. But he did not. And he played for 4 years. It is JJ Redick. The only reason he is not higher is because he did not win a national championship. But you cannot argue the just undeniable greatness of his college career. Like literally the most hated man for 4 years in college basketball. And it wasn't because he was like rude or like he wasn't like Grayson Allen or he wasn't like, he wasn't just a mean guy. He literally made every shot that he shot and he knew he was going to make it. So he just shot all the time. And it was just like, I lived in North Carolina when he was playing, and a lot of my friends were Carolina fans, like UNC fans. So they hate Duke. And every time Carolina and Duke would play, JJ Redick, I mean, it's the biggest rivalry in college basketball. JJ popped off every single time. And I just remember seeing it, hearing his name all the time, seeing all the hate that he got. And it's like, man, this guy literally was like Michael Jordan of college basketball without the championships. Like he was wild to watch. He shot 42% from 3-point career, like in his career, and he averaged 27 a game in 2005 when they didn't shoot the 3-pointer that much.
So I watched his, I think maybe 30 for 30 or documentary.
Oh, it's really good.
And there's a big deal where he had like a lot of anxiety, if I remember correctly. Like
yes.
he almost quit basketball. His mom or somebody made him go back. I think if I'm right, Krzyzewski's like trying to call him. He's like sleeping in his car or something like that.
Yep.
Like he totally was getting rid of it. He went on like a bender, like drinking. They were going to kick him off the team. He comes back and becomes national. He had like the best game ever or something, becomes national player of the year, and his career just goes crazy. And what's funny is I was going to say this on your last pick. Jimmer to me is like junior JJ. Right?
Yeah, he
That's
really
a whole lot
is.
of J's. It's a whole lot of J's.
He really is.
And I don't know if you're just going with the great white hype today, because there are a few other phenomenal college white guys that you might pick, and that's not that's not something you can usually say in the basketball realm. But you pick 2 of them,
Also,
and they are 2 of the better ones.
I did
also,
pick 2.
A former Pelican.
He had a good career with the Pelicans.
And he had a good
He
couple year run with the Pelicans.
I got a couple fun facts about JJ Redick, things that I'm so surprised, Thomas, that you did not mention. But according to hoopshype.com, his first email address was jjshoota3@aol.com.
That makes so much sense. That's really fun.
He officiated his sister's summer wedding as an ordained minister. There you go. He says that he's cried at every wedding he's ever been to. Let's keep going. He has several tattoos of Bible verses, apparently. This is a fun one. This is a fun one. Now we're talking college, but let's move to the NBA. He averaged how many blocks per game? You were ready for this one? 0.08 blocks per game. That's his average in his career. So sometimes he had one, sometimes he didn't have any. That was basically where he was at. No, but I do like that pick. I also really like JJ Redick now as an analyst.
Yeah, I was about to say he's great
really good.
I
like him on TV. So
he's almost like a Tony Romo.
So you found Jimmer's name. Is JJ James too?
His actual name is Jonathan Clay Redick. There you go.
Jonathan. Does it say where JJ came from?
This website does not. But Jonathan, maybe he's a junior, possibly.
Could be.
I don't know. It doesn't say that, but usually possibly. A J could be that. But yeah, JJ Redick. That's a good pick. I like it, man. I'm here for it for sure.
Great pick. JJ Redick. Jimmer Fredette, you're building a great mountain over there. TJ. Let's go. Let's move on over to Andy. Andy, you started us off with an oldie but a greatie, right? And so where are you going now?
TJ Jazzy Jeff. His name was brought up earlier. Not obviously in the mountains, so I'm not Rushmoring anything yet. But my TJ Jazzy Jeff. Kirk, you're going to love this one. I know you will. And he could be argued to be the top one, right? But again, my George was set from the beginning. But my TJ Jazzy Jeff, Pistol Pete Maravich. You got to go with him. LSU averaged 44.2 points. Averaged 44 points. I mean, that's the middle. Like, you know what I mean? Like an off day was what, 35? Like, what did he do? Like, it's crazy, man. So average 44.2 points, 5.1 assists, 6.4 rebounds, some awards that he received: 3-time SEC Player of the Year, 2-time National Player of the Year, 3-time consensus first team All-American, 3-time NCAA scoring champion, NCAA Division I all-time leading scorer. And I got a long list of statistics. So here we go. First all-time in the NCAA Division I men's basketball career scoring list with 3,600 points and some change. First, fourth, and fifth all-time in most points scored in a single season, 1,300, almost 1,100, and 1,100, right? That's 3 different seasons. He is first, fourth, and fifth all-time. First, second, and third all-time in scoring average in a season, 44.5, 44.2, 43.8. That's 3 seasons he's averaging over 40 points a game. That's insane. First all-time in career scoring average. Again, we said 44.2. Led the country in scoring in 1968 at 43.8 points a game. Led the country in scoring in 1969, 44.2 points. Led the country in scoring in 1970, 44.5 points. I mean, I could keep going on. Most games in a season with at least 50 points. He had 10 games with at least 50 points. Most consecutive games with at least 50 points. He had 3 of those games consecutive, 150 points in 3 games, right? And most games in career with at least 50 points, 28 games. I mean, the dude's crazy. I mean, I could keep listing statistics. You know, you talk about just being a local product here to Louisiana. Obviously, you know, there's why do they name where they play basketball the Maravich Center, right? I mean, like, obviously there was something about that, right? This guy, like I said, could be the number 1 or number 2 on anybody's lists. But I'm going to put him here. He was originally the link. I bumped one around. I did things like that. But I mean, to me, again, not being a big statistics person, you can't argue with those numbers that you see there. Like I said, I could keep going on and on and on, but I'm not going to do that because I don't know enough about it to do it. I'm just doing what the internet tells me. So I'm going to let you guys tell me about Pistol Pete. What do y'all think about that one?
Yeah, man. He is on our thumbnail for a reason, because I knew that he's probably one of the GOATs for sure of college basketball. And I knew with my criteria, I wasn't picking him. Pete Maravich. Yeah. I mean, the Maravich Center. We already mentioned that in passing, but, he is phenomenal. I remember watching his, and I don't think it was a documentary. It was more like a movie, like a biopic of him, and kind of this biography, if you will. as a kid. And I remember him, he was like spinning the ball like all the way down the block, and he like hit it off his head or something into. He not only was he amazing, he is an amazing shooter, a scorer. Like you just said all the stats, but I remember more importantly watching that was his handles were insane. He invented most of the type of moves that come with the basketball, like that, white chocolate Jason Williams would be doing with the elbow and behind the back and over the head. And he was that guy. He worked a lot on ball handling. And here's a fun fact. His dad coached him at LSU, Press Maravich, but the guy that got fired, I guess fired or he retired or whatever, that left right before that was a guy by the name of Jay McCreary. Now, he was Jay McCreary Sr., and tomorrow, as this is posting, tomorrow, I'm in Louisiana this week, and I will be at a funeral for Jay McCreary Jr. And his Jay McCreary's grandson is one of my best friends in the whole world, Barrett McCreary. And so his dad passed away, rest in peace, Mr. J. And I'll be doing that. But that's a fun fact because I remember as a kid, there when hanging out at Jay's house, there was a framed. Well, it wasn't framed. That's a lie. I remember hanging out as a kid. There was a Pete Maravich actual worn signed jersey, balled up, in the bottom of Barrett's closet.
I would have stole that thing, dude.
Bottom of a Barrett's closet. And we used to pick it up and look at it. It was actual Pete's jersey.
Dude, that's
it said Maravich on the back from back in the day at LSU. It's an LSU jersey. So anyways, fun fact about Pistol Pete. But man.
Let me say this. And I don't know why I didn't even mention this. All of those statistics, and there was not a 3-point line.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he scored all that in ones and twos.
And his name was Pistol. Dude, when you're a basketball player and you got a nickname like Pistol.
To me, the fact that there's no 3-point line and you still put up those numbers, there's no comparison with like shooters today. And I'm not knocking anyone for having the 3-point line. I mean, I think it's just part of the game. But there's people now that can't even touch those numbers with more opportunity. So
the guy that's closest is like 300 or 400 points away, and he's like done. He's played. It's like 100 more games than Pistol Pete, and he's still like 300 away. It's wild. I
love the fact. Let me just say this. I love the fact we are only halfway through this mountain and 2 LSU people are on. Just saying. So here we go. My next pick is a phenomenal player. Went on to be he had almost 2 careers in professional to me. Probably one of the best comeback players ever, right? I'm going with a guy who played at the same time frames. Actually, all 4 of my guys kind of play in the same time frame, which I just realized as my last guy. This guy played from 90 to 94 from Duke University, Grant Hill.
Okay.
I am coming with Grant Hill. Grant was a son of a football player, which I didn't know that, so I looked this up. NFL running back Calvin Hill. But here's his accolades. 2-time NCAA champion, 91 and 92. Consensus first team All-American, ACC Player of the Year, 94. 3-time All-ACC first team, 92, 93, 94. He averaged 15, 6, and 3. I'm sorry. He averaged 15, 6, and 4. I'll go with that. And shot 53% from the field, 68% from the line. Integral part of the 91-92 run. And back-to-back championships with Krzyzewski. He was considered one of the best basketball players coming out of college. If you guys remember, he goes to the pros. He's drafted, I think, 3rd by the Pistons. They're going to have an amazing team. Pistons just had a nice run in the 80s. They ended up thinking he might be the big piece to get him going again. And he hurts himself. And everybody thought he was done. He was done forever, but he comes back and he has a Hall of Fame supporting cast type career in the professional. The guy is one of the most stand-up guys you'd ever see. He's great on the mic. He was a teammate of some really big college guys. I'm not going to name those guys. They might be named later. But he was a part of 3 Final Four runs because they went in 94 as well. His all-around game, versatility, unselfishness, this was big deals. In 91 championship game, he famously, I remember this, threw an alley-oop pass that Christian Laettner catches one of the most iconic plays in the history of the game. Grant Hill, Duke, for all them Dukies out there, I loved watching this team. I wasn't a Duke fan, but watching him play and that run in the 91, 92, 93, 94 was just phenomenal. They were always there. It was a fun team to watch. A lot of great players came from that era. So I'm going to go with my TJ Jazzy Jeff, Grant Hill.
Okay. That's awesome. I have one fun fact for you about Grant Hill. You ready for this one?
Yeah.
Coming off of Music March, did you know that Grant Hill was in Nickelback's music video for Rockstar?
Nice.
He plays basketball with Nickelback in the music video. So there's your fact for today. And now you know.
And knowing is half the battle. Hey, so Thomas, what do you think about Grant Hill?
If I had ever watched him play, he probably, just off of his college career, he probably would be my number one. But I was born in 94, so I never watched him play. I've watched the documentaries on him and stuff, and watch YouTube videos on him. I absolutely love when he does NBA stuff and his analytical mindset that he has. And when he commentates games, he's fantastic. I think he expresses the game verbally a lot better than most people would. And so he's just his college game was incredible. And then when he went his first year in NBA, he cooked the crap out of Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. Oh, yeah. And I'm a Bulls fan, and I love Michael Jordan, and he cooked them really bad.
So his 90s career was phenomenal.
Oh, it was great.
90s career was phenomenal. But then he gets hurt in 2000.
Yep.
And he's out for 2 years and makes the All-Star team in 2005. So that's a big he has almost 2 full careers, comeback player of the year, and then goes on to have a second just phenomenal career as that supporting guy. I love it. So, Andy, it looks like you have another fact for us.
Ready for another fact? According to factsnippet.com, 30-some-odd facts about Grant Hill. Grant Hill dated actress Jada Pinkett Smith from 1993 to 1995.
You know what's
really funny? Keep my wife's name out your mouth.
I just saw a picture of them together, and somebody was like, Grant Hill dodged a bullet. That's really funny. I'm glad you read that. I saw a picture about that today. I forgot about that.
That's what I'm bringing today, guys. That's all I got for you. I don't know.
That's perfect.
That's perfect. That's
hilarious.
All right, guys. Well, it is that time. We are halfway up this the summit, and we are on our way to the top of the mountain. It is now time to take a little March Madness commercial break. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Okay, I'm Christian Laettner. 1992, Duke, Kentucky. Kentucky's up by 1. Christian's got the ball. 2 seconds left. He shoots a beautiful turnaround jumper off the glass. Gets his own rebound. Loose ball. Laettner goes straight to goal. Get them. Duke wins game of the century. And that's the way it happened. Well, almost.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. We're back. We're climbing this mountain. We are on the second half. And it is time to start with our link for Abraham Lincoln. If this is your first time being here, Link is our number 2. Thomas, you are up. What is your number 2 on the mountain?
Okay, so this guy did not play. He's my only person that played 1 year. He played 1 year. He won a national championship in his only year, and just absolutely changed the culture of Kentucky, and it's Anthony Davis. the guy, I mean, scoring wise, he only averaged 14 a game. Wasn't wild scoring, but the amount of pressure he made on defense. Yeah, he averaged like almost 5 blocks a game. And I remember watching games. I'm a Tennessee fan. We had to play him. He had like 8 blocks that game against Tennessee, and I was pissed. I hated it. He was just such like a defensive guru on the court, and like it's almost like having Tim Duncan out there, like for college.
I'm extremely happy you brought him up as a Pelicans fan, and he was the guy that we drafted in that Pelicans turnover. He was like the last big star that was going to be Hornets going into the Pelicans, but I love the brow, dude. When we got the draft pick, it couldn't have happened any better. I remember when we got Zion's, I was like, man, I hope we don't butcher our contract with AD like we did like for Zion. But the problem with him was that those injuries, man, and the professional. But as a college guy, wow. I remember like, oh, we're going to go to the championship. This guy is phenomenal. And the thing is, basketball wasn't his first love.
Yeah.
Basketball wasn't his first love. I remember reading, because he's from there. He always talked, he was kind of nerdy and different back in the day. And then he got this like.
He wore like weird glasses and stuff.
2-foot like growth spurt. Like he just, and he became a basketball player. So
he also won SEC Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year, which like in college, you don't win both of those most of the time. Like you're either really good at defense and that's it, and like you don't really make an impact anywhere else, but like his year at Kentucky was just, I mean, that Kentucky team by itself was really, really stacked, had some really good players, but you can't deny he led that team, like absolutely led that team. He was just so fun but annoying to watch. As a Tennessee fan, it was very annoying to watch. I hated it so much.
Yeah.
Where's our fun facts at there, Andrew?
He has his own chips with ruffles. He has some signature chips.
That's so random.
Which is a thing. Yeah, I don't have much there.
Aren't those one of those hip hop chips?
No, no, those are different. But yes, he is.
They're just long and thin, like his eyebrow.
No, he.
Hopefully, they're not furry like his eyebrow.
Oh gosh,
I don't know about that. No, but Anthony Davis, I like your pick again. I'm loving your trend, man. Another Pell. I mean, who's going to be your George? Like, what are we? I mean, who else could it be?
Took 3 Pelicans, and this needs to be your George right here.
Yeah, if Zion, then I'm thinking
if he won a national championship, he probably would be on the list.
I'm just saying, Thomas, you're moving to Louisiana.
I am.
All these Pells out there. I'm just saying, that's the thing.
The next one is not a Pell. Don't worry.
Well, not yet. Well, so here's the thing. Anthony Davis, I love the pick. Obviously, like you said, Kirk, when we got that lottery pick, I remember watching on there and watching the boardroom freak out that we get the number one, all that kind of stuff. And it's good. He did a lot of good for this. The one negative that I have for him, and this is just professional, again, not college, right? Because we're talking college today. I hated how he left New Orleans. I really hated how he left New Orleans.
Yeah.
I hated the whole "that's all folks" shirt that he wore, and it just was not. It was not my favorite thing. Which in a couple weeks we're going to talk about some mores of basketball, and maybe there's some things related to that. But talent-wise on the court, I mean, yeah, you can't deny it. From a defensive standpoint, it's just crazy to see everything that he does. So. I like the pick, man. His name is Anthony Marshawn Davis Jr. So there you go. That's
just sad he's made of glass, man. He literally gets hurt every other day. It's wild.
Yep. Yeah. And that's, much like the guy who is in the Funko box right now.
And he finally did get one, but it was in the bubble.
Yeah, I know. They're going to hold
him. That sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucked. He finally did get one in the bubble with LeBron. So
he did play great during that bubble.
He did, and I'm glad for him on that kind of little bit. All right, Andy, where are you going? Taking us back in a time capsule. Let's go.
All right, so my link is, like I said, Pete Maravich is going to be one of those top 2 guys. This is the other one out of those 2 that's constantly going to be mentioned here, and I'm going to go with my link. none other than Lou Alcindor, or better known as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar from UCLA. College averages 26 and a half points, about 15 and a half rebounds a game. I mean, that's crazy. Three-time NCAA champion, three-time NCAA Final Four most outstanding player, two-time AP Player of the Year, Naismith Player of the Year, three-time consensus first-team All-American, three times West regional team. He's a member of the 1,000 rebound club. That's crazy, right? So he's got about 2,300 points, 1,300 rebounds, most points in NCAA history in his first career game. 56 points he dropped. First nationally in field goal percentage in 1967. He had 66.7% field goal percentage that year. Highest scoring average in the 1967 NCAA tournament, 26 and a half points a game. First nationally in field goal percentage in 1969, 63.5%. So he's shooting in your 60 percentages in college ball. I mean, that's bonkers, right? Highest rebounding average in the 69 NCAA tournament, 16 rebounds per game. It's crazy. Tied for second, tied for seventh in the Final Four history for rebounds in two games with 41 and 38. 41. What? Anyway, again, statistics, we can keep going on. Obviously, this is a reason why this guy is widely going to be considered the best of all time. 10th in Final Four history with 62 points in two games. I mean, the list goes on and on. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I talked about it and I didn't bring him up, but when we were talking about facial hair in Manuary, I did talk about the chops. You know, we talked about you just had Anthony Davis with the unibrow. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar known for the chops and everything, but I mean, he could be thrown up there as anyone's number one, and nobody would really argue that.
So here's the good thing, man. He had the GOAT for coaches. Let's just say that right off the bat, John Wooden.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you, this is a fun fact about them. While he was there, while Lou Alcindor, because that's what he was back then, while he was there, they went 88-2. They went 30-0, 29-1, 29-1. That was his 3 seasons there. Now, here's the crazy things. They don't own the longest winning streak by John Wooden, which was done in 74 when he went 88 in a row. That is insane. John Wooden's a bomb. But, I mean, he had guys like, Kareem and Walton, Luke Walton. I mean, what a phenomenal run UCLA was back then.
I do love the fact about Kareem. He dunked so much in college. They actually banned dunking while he was in college. That's freaking great to me.
He also led his high school to a 71-game win streak. His high school. So if you take wins in high school, in college, in pro, like the dude doesn't lose a basketball game. Is what I mean. He just doesn't lose.
And he was mighty upset about your boy LeBron Braun breaking that record.
Oh, he really was, dude.
I love that shot. Everyone's on their phone, whatever, and he's just it's my favorite.
He's going to come back.
You also get the whole, tie-in with Kareem Abdul, and you get Bruce Lee. You get the 1-2 there. So that's a cool little 1-2 happening.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so he had a little acting stint, everyone, here and there, because he's a tall guy. Wilt did it with Conan. But yeah, that's pretty cool.
Nominated for an Emmy Award. So
really,
he was nominated for an Emmy in Outstanding Narrator category for his narration in the hour-long Black Patriots Heroes of the Revolution documentary. So,
nice.
I didn't know
that. Kareem, that's your highest esteem.
Listen,
that rhymes.
Yeah. So that's Kareem. You just say the one name. You say Kareem, and you know who you're talking about. So okay, right. Kirk, let's move to you, TJ Jazzy Jeff. Where are you going with this one?
I'm going to shock the world here, and I'm going to go with a teammate of the guy I just named. So I got Chris Jackson. I'm going to go with Christian Laettner. Christian Laettner. 1992 was the only college guy that elected to the Dream Team, which is the baddest basketball team ever to be assembled.
Amen, brother.
Ever. And he was the, you know what? Come take a ride with us because you're so freaking awesome in college. You need to hang out with every single 80s and 90s GOAT known to man. I mean, that was a freaking, it was insane, that team was. And let's just go and give a little stat right here for these guys. He was on the team with Grant Hill. Obviously, he did the alley-oop with him. I kind of alluded to it. I was like, don't want to say it, but yeah. Also two-time NCAA champion, 91-92. He was first-team consensus All-American in 92. Tournament most outstanding player in 91. Three-time All-ACC first team, 90, 91, 92. He averaged 16.6, 7.8, and 1.7 assists in his career for college while he was at Duke. Shot 57 from the field, 49 from the arc, and 82 from the line. Scored 2,460 points, making him the all-time leading scorer in Duke basketball history at the time of his graduation. Currently, he's in third. He helped Duke reach the NCAA tournament in each of his 4 seasons, including 4 consecutive Final Fours. 4 in a row. What a run. What a run. Alongside Grant Hill, and I'm going to say the other guy, Bobby Hurley. That was a 3-team tandem that was just insane. One of the best trios ever. He hit arguably, the most iconic college shot in the history of college basketball in the 92 NCAA Elite 8 against Kentucky, when it was the ball gets thrown from one side of the court to the next. He grabs it at about the free throw line, turns, and pops that thing for the win. That was just awesome. And look, he went 10 for 10 from the field and the free throw line in the game against Kentucky, which is insane, right? So, again, holds multiple NCAA records. He includes most points ever scored in a single tournament, 407 in one tourney. So, yeah, it's pretty awesome. I'm going to go with another great white hype, Christian Laettner. Now, his career in the professional, I think he was drafted 3rd as well. It was decent. I mean, it was nothing to write home about. It wasn't really a Hall of Fame career. Great basketball player. I would love to have him on any team I had at the time. He was just he was a great player, strong guy. He did a lot better than a couple other guys that I was kind of thinking about. That was one of the reasons he edged. But man, I can't say enough about him. I was a miniature Duke fan for that 3-year run because I loved watching those guys. I just did.
We talked earlier about like 30 for 30s and stuff like that. That's another really, really good one. What is it? I hate Christian Laettner or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great one. There, again, it's just out of a not being a basketball guy, like not somebody that I knew, obviously at the in that, but reading about him and kind of seeing some of that stuff and watching the documentary after, it's hard to argue with that. He's definitely one of the most iconic, we like that word, college basketball players, well-known college basketball players of all time. So can't argue with that one.
And that early 90s really set into me how much I love to play basketball. I mean, I remember this is one of those things about that shot. As soon as it happened, for the next year or 2 years, every kid in every gym known to in America is trying to catch that ball and turn and pop that shot. And it was, I mean, it's one of the, nowadays it's Kobe or Steph Curry, whatever. Back then it was, you were trying to be Laettner and hit that shot, and it was a big deal. Mm-hmm. But anyways, there's my link, man. So we were at the George. We were at the top of the mountain, and Thomas, why don't you start us off and give us who you think the number one king of the mountain is? Who's your
I firmly believe, not a great NBA career, But he was average, made a decent amount of money, made good impact on teams type thing, but wasn't great. Did not nearly have the impact that he had in college. And you put his college resume against other players from the same team, and you look at what he did, he's the top of some of these guys, and it's unbelievable. And it's Tyler Hansbrough. Like the guy, dude, the guy was absolutely nuts at basketball. Like in college, I mean, look, he's literally the most decorated UNC player of all time, beating out the GOAT, Michael Jordan, beating out Phil Ford, who was also a just unbelievable UNC player, James Worthy, Antoine James, all these players. Tyler Hansbrough, this dude comes in that's like the most country farmer looking dude ever, like Larry Bird almost type-esque. He, in his 4 years, he was a unanimous selection to ACC All-Conference all 4 years. All 4 years, he had an All-American. He was selected as some type of All-American. In 2006, he was the ACC Freshman of the Year. 2008, the ACC Player of the Year. He's the ACC's all-time leading scorer and the first player in ACC history to lead his school in both scoring and rebounding in each of his 4 seasons. He holds the NCAA record for made free throws in a career. He holds the NCAA record with a 78 20-point games in his career. In 2008, he won the Wooden Award and the National Player of the Year, and he also won an NCAA championship. That's just like a phenomenal. There's one play. There's a few when he got elbowed in the face playing against Duke and his nose started bleeding. That always sticks out. Just a tough dude. But when he stared down the 7'8" giant Kenny George and just took it right at him and dunked over him, I was like, oh, this dude's bad. Like, this guy's insane. What was his? He had a nickname, and I always
Psycho T.
Psycho T. I mean, crazy. Like, literally, just such a great college bat. Like, there's people you could argue, like, I never watched Jay Williams play. He had the 2 crazy years from Duke. But, man, Tyler Hansbrough, like, you look at his college career, it was – I mean, Kareem's the only one that's, like, really beats him. Like, it's impeccable. It's unbelievable how good Tyler Hansbrough was.
So, Uncultured Swine, I have no idea who the heck this guy is. I didn't even like, he wasn't on any list for mine. I'm looking him up. The only reason I'm Psycho T is because as you're talking about him, I'm looking up facts. I can't even find a website that gives you fun facts about this guy. Like, there's nothing about this guy that
just played basketball, man.
But what I gathered from him, he was on a website that was like the 10 most hated people in college basketball history. So, you know, obviously he's one of those guys that plays rough, does a little trash talking, but can clearly, because based on the stats that you shared, can back up his trash talk.
Dude, so, he was fun to watch.
I mean, you shared some things, and I may be repeating a few, but dude, he has 2,872 points for the ACC, which is at this time the all-time leading scorer for ACC history.
Yes.
Right. On top of that, he had 99 blocks, 107 assists, and 78 steals. Usually, a guy that's going to score 2,900 points, especially with going back. The reason I laughed, you almost made a whole white.
I know. I know.
You missed Leitner. You should have took Leitner last year.
I didn't watch him play.
And you would have took probably the 4 greatest guys in my lifetime to watch in that realm. Anyways, that's why I giggled, because Hansbrough, when you mentioned JJ and all that, I was like, I wonder if he's going to take Hansbrough. That is hilarious.
I mean, he was just so good.
He was good. I remember, I loved how he played real hard.
Yeah.
He was very aggressive. He was strong. And I thought he was going to have a decent NBA career. He only averaged like 6 in the NBA, and 6 isn't going to get you much time. You're going to have to get at least about 9, which doesn't seem like a whole bunch. But if you average 6, that means some games you have 10, and a lot of games you have 0. And like, he just doesn't get a lot of time.
His like highest average was like 11 or something like that.
And so that's not going to get you very far. He was still He was a good role player. Great pick, Thomas. Now it is time for the top of the mountain for Andy's pick. All right, Andy, where are you going? I mean, you picked 3 GOATs for sure.
Yeah.
Great mountain. Who can even top that? Who can be even higher?
This is my number one. This was my number one from the beginning. Maybe I don't think most are going to mention him as like a top 4 guy of all time, unless you are a real big fan of this school, which Kirk, you are. So my number one, Shaquille O'Neal from LSU. I'm going 2 LSU players today. Look, I'm showing the love, man, but Shaq is my number one. I'll probably foreshadow to next week when I'm talking about my favorite players, but Shaq is just up there. He is. I love that. So here's his averages: 21.6 points, 13.5 rebounds, 4.5 blocks, while shooting 61% from the field. SEC Player of the Year twice in 91 and 92. He was the 1990 consensus first team All SEC and All American, 91 SEC Player of the Year, 92 consensus first team All American. Shares the NCAA record with back-to-back triple doubles. Led the country in rebounding average in 91, which is 14.5. Led the country in block shot average in 92, 5.2 blocks per game. Set the SEC record for the most block shots in conference play in 1990. The most points scored in a game inside of Maravich Center, 53 points in that game. Most double-doubles in LSU history, 66 double-doubles. Most triple-doubles in LSU history, 6 triple-doubles. Most block shots in a game in LSU history, 12 blocks. Most block shots in a season in LSU history, 157 of those. Most block shots in a career in LSU history with 412 blocks. The most block shots in a game in NCAA tournament history with 11 blocks there. And I could keep going on. Here's what I think. When I think college basketball and I just picture it, I see Shaq shattering the backboard. It's just what I see. It's hanging onto the rim. It is entertainment. He is one of the greatest characters of all time when it comes to basketball. I love Shaquille O'Neal. I'm going to talk about him probably quite a bit this month. He's going to show up in a few different places, but he is my number one. It's when I think of that. And I also hear the other ones that I shared, Kareem, Pistol Pete, and Bill Russell. I mean, I just know that because of history, right? Like, this dude is playing again, 90, 91, 92. I'm like 1 or 2 years old, so I'm not like watching it then, but it was happening. His professional career and all that was happening during my lifetime, right? So like, this is the one that really, to me, kind of defines an era of basketball, one of those things there. And then again, we're not talking professional ball. We're not talking it. I know that, but that dude's career in professional in the NBA is just, man, he's amazing. Can you imagine if he could make free throws? Like, where he would stand statistically and as a scorer on the all-time scoring list? He's already like, I don't even remember the number, but he's way up there and missed most of his free throws. So Shaq, my number one, my George. It's basketball to me. I love Shaquille O'Neal. And Kirk, I know you're a fan of this. I know you're a fan that I brought up 2 LSU players today. So I'm throwing.
Yeah, I mean, let's just get it out of the way, because we know I'm going there. This is my George, man.
Yes.
He's my George, the great Aristotle.
Yes.
This guy is the funniest guy. He's the funniest character. He is by far, in my opinion, the best center the game's ever seen. And obviously there is a ton of really great centers. You named one just a few minutes ago. There are some other ones that we can talk.
Yeah, you named 2.
Yeah, well, yeah, you named 2. You named 2. But Russell as well. So I was thinking of just Kareem. To me, most dominant guy ever to lace up some high tops. I mean, he was a force to be reckoned with because of his size. But put all that away. All right, the character, the personification of Shaquille O'Neal. He was raised by a military parent. Dale Brown found him in Germany, if I remember correctly. His dad was stationed out there. Gets him over there. Dale Brown, let me just say this. Dale Brown was one of the best recruiters in the history of college sports. He is a great motivator. Some of his speeches, one of the great motivators of college basketball. He was a terrible coach. I mean, when you have, let me just say this. I said this earlier. Chris Jackson was there in '89, and as a sophomore, and scoring 30 points a game, and Shaq's there as a freshman in '89, and you got ousted in the first game of the playoffs, right? Then Shaq comes back, has a phenomenal career again. They get ousted in the second set of, and there were some other great players. I remember Vernell Singleton. He used to wear the Band-Aid. Look, I don't remember a whole lot of things about college basketball from the early 90s. The Duke run and that LSU team. And that LSU team, I remember watching. Honestly, your Vols, Thomas, I remember a big game with the Volunteers in like those early 90s. And I remember the court being the checkerboard and all that stuff was happening and seeing Shaq just dominate. And I mean, the breaking of the boards, all that. But let's not stop there. He was in Blue Chips as a basketball movie, which might make our little bit in a few weeks.
It's coming up in a couple weeks. Maybe.
He was a dang genie as Kazam. He was Shaq Fu in a video game.
Yes,
and the guy is a freaking icon. He had the front seats of his car removed so he could drive from the back seat. This guy is just a character. You talk about the professional side. He played for 100 teams and he won with all of them. He didn't win the championship with all of them, but their teams were always good. He put Orlando on the map. This guy, I have a ton of his rookie cards. He made my basketball dreams as color collecting. I just loved it. I've got figures of him, all kinds of stuff. This guy to me is amazing. And yeah, you alluded to it. Shaq will probably show up quite a bit this month. He will. And it's just, to me, he is what I think of when it comes to basketball. Shaquille O'Neal, by far my George this week. And
Rushmore.
Nice. Shaquille O'Neal. All right. So yeah, 4 LSU guys. Wow. 4 LSU guys. I think 3 Duke, 2 UNC. Man, that's pretty stout.
They're in the University of San Francisco.
Yes, we
and one Kentucky. We got one Kentucky.
UCLA, Kentucky.
UCLA.
And my man Zion didn't make it, but hey, this guy, beast. So hey, but we might mention him here in a second because it's time for Benjamins. And as you guys know it, our Benjamins are honorable mentions. Don't go nowhere because we have a whole nother 12 coming right up.
All right, Rushmore community, we are back. It is time for our Benjamins, which, our honorable mentions. We couldn't quite get them all out here, so we're going to go snake draft style. Cannot crush more on this one, and we're going to start with our guest, Thomas. What's your first honorable mention? What's your first Benjamin that didn't quite make the list?
Kevin Durant.
KD.
He's the only freshman to ever win Naismith Player of the Year, and that's just unbelievable by itself. I mean, crazy.
KD was eliminated on my mountain because he's a 1-year goat.
Yep,
dude.
That's why he did not make it on mine.
So he was a 1-year flyer. Texas was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Here we go. So I think this is the first time I have a criteria for my Benjamins that is different than my criteria for my top 4. And the only reason I did this is because I was tired of just Googling, random people. So what I did was I just said, hey, what are the best names ever in college basketball? And there's a long list of these. So I'm going to give you this, and I'm going to give you their stat lines. None of these guys, it's hard to even find Google images of them. Okay. So, but I'll just tell you this. This is this guy's name, and I'm going to say it. Chief Kicking Stallion Sims. Kicking Stallion Sims from Alabama State. Here's his career stats. Average 5 points, 2.7 rebounds, 0.2 assists, shot 58.5% field goal. So, not horrible, not a bad career, but Chief Kicking Stallion Sims from Alabama State.
All right, so I get back-to-back jacks, my 2 guys that I was hoping would make it to me. Again, I'm still on the same train. Not going with number ones, or guys that only played 1 year, because there are a bunch of GOATs, and hopefully Thomas will nail out a few of those coming up, because it seems like that is not on his. But I'm going to go with Mr. Fundamental from Wake Forest, Timmy Duncan.
Great
Timmy
pick.
Duncan. And
Great
yet, this is a fun fact about Tim Duncan. I can't stand the guy. But
I love him.
I mean, because he's just boring. But he was just boring. But I love the guy. And I almost took his teammate D-Rob, but I went with Timmy Duncan. And I'm going to go with my next pick. This guy is the complete antithesis of Timmy Duncan. There's nothing fundamental about this guy. This guy hates practice. I'm going with Allen Iverson out of Georgetown. Let's go. That's my number one and my number two. There you go, buddy.
All right. Next great name in college basketball history. Again, I'm not afraid of you picking any of these because I've never heard of them. But my next one is Solomon Horse Chief. Solomon Horse Chief. He's Horse Chief. The H in horse and the C in chief is both capitalized. One word. Horse Chief from Pacific. He played 30.
Pacific's another one of those cool basketball colleges.
33 games, 6.2 points per game, 1.2 rebounds, and 2.5 assists. That's his stat line. Solomon Horse Chief. I'm sorry, you got to cross it off here. Thomas, where are you going?
Hey, hold on. Let me get the bell. Thomas, you get two. You get back to back.
Okay, I'm going Steph Curry. We all know the Davidson run. We all know it. The only reason, so I'm quickly going to explain, the only reason I put Jimmer above him is because Jimmer made it to the NCAA tournament more than Steph did. But
Yeah.
Steph's run was more iconic and deeper. My next one is Kimball Walker. Cardiac
Nice.
Kimba. The step back. I mean, probably the best move that I've ever seen.
So let's go to my next one. The Nichols State. Okay, out here in Louisiana, Nichols State and Thibodeau.
Oh, wait, I think I know this.
I'm going with Mr. Jacob Turnipseed. Jacob Turnipseed.
Oh, I don't know that.
Doesn't his name sound like he would be in like a child's nursery rhyme?
Like
Jacob
Johnny
Turnipseed
Appleseed.
sat on a Nichols State. Here's his average: 1.7 points per game, 1 rebound a game, 0.7 assists, shooting a 34.5% field goal.
Hey, let's go, dude.
Come on, Jacob Turnipseed from Nichols State.
Nice. So I'm getting all 4 of my picks. I love it. This is one of the first times I haven't had to change a pick. So I'm gonna go with one of the most iconic New Orleans Hornets of all time. From Wake Forest, CP3, Chris Paul. Dude, when we got the Hornets and I heard we were getting CP3, dude, I looked online and got tickets, got to see CP3 against Jordan versus the Wizards. CP3 still to this day is one of my favorite basketball players of all time, and I'm really pulling for that dude at Phoenix. I need him to get one. So, dude, this 1-2 punch in the early 90s I thought was going to take Orlando to the top, but I am taking Penny Hardaway. Anthony Hardaway now kind of coaching over there at Memphis in head over his head in just controversy every time I turn around and see him on the news. But Anthony Hardaway, when I saw that dude was going to partner up with Shaquille O'Neal in Orlando, bro, I thought not 1, not 2, not 3, but he had a short-lived career. He also kind of was like Grant Hill, got hurt, whatever. But anyways, my 4 guys that I can remember, all 8. I got my top 8. I love it. Andy, where you go?
So my last one, maybe the most tame last name out of all of them, but I put it on here because it's kind of one of my sayings, one of my isms, if you will. This is a player from Texas Pan American University. His name, Julius Allgood. His last name. It's all good. It's all good.
It's all good.
When I scrolled past his name, I couldn't pass him up. Julius Allgood averaged 4.1 points a game, 2.4 rebounds, 0.6 assists, shooting 47.9% for the Texas Pan American University.
Such a random school.
Random school.
Texas Pan American.
Well, I'm glad I got all of my Benjamins. I was kind of.
So you got all 8 of yours
you
too.
were
This is a record. This is a record. You got all 8 of yours too. Nice, nice. All right, Thomas, where you can pick any college player ever that's left. Who are you going with?
So I'm debating in my mind between two, just because of the impact that both of them had when they played. So I'm just gonna put both of them together if that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Blake Griffin and Zion.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Very two iconic players. You could also argue, but I did not watch
I'm
Shane
still trying to
Battier play. I thought about Shane Battier.
No, wait. I'm throwing a flag, although that's football. I'm throwing a technical foul, if you will. Time, technical, right? Charge. You didn't say Michael Beasley.
I know. I was debating.
You told me you're going Michael Beasley.
Dude,
and that's also
can't.
another guy that I couldn't do because he had 1 year. So, I mean,
I know,
so,
but dude,
anyways,
Mike was crazy.
What a great show that we had, kicking the tires on a new subject, basketball. Andy, thanks for sticking around and hanging out with us a little bit to have a little bit of fun. But we just left your favorite, moving on to sports. You know, we're all big sports guys. Welcome to the show. Look, if it's your first time here, thank you. Welcome to the family. Hit the like, share, and subscribe. Hit the button, all those things. You know what to do. But you wasted an hour of your life. We must be entertaining enough to check us out next week for that hour, because we are coming with the ultimate reason why we did this show. We are going to talk about the GOAT of basketball. The biggest conversation in sports right now, is it LeBron? Is it Michael? We're having that conversation next week. And if the planets align right, we are going to have 2 phenomenal guests. One being Omari Gray. He's coming back for his 3rd show, which you all know he is full of hot topics. And if we can get it right, if all things work with some travel plans and stuff, we're going to have Thomas back on next week to combat him, because we know they're both on the different sides of this fence. So we need that side. And you'll hear us, me, and Andy, and where we're going. All right, Andy, I'm gonna shoot over to you. What's some last minute things that you can tell our guests? Maybe you have a few more of those funny names, because that was great.
Yeah, they have a lot of these names that I can't even pronounce that are on this list. That have 16 apostrophes in their name. What is happening here? But they do. There's this long list that Bleacher Report put out. So some of these were names that were, it says, destined to be on the cover of some teenage girls magazine. So you got Chris Timberlake, Corey Abercrombie, and Thomas Abercrombie as well. You got some that sound like they would be of the royal family: Duke Cruz, Will Royal, Ricky Royal, King Cannon, and J.P. Prince.
King Cannon, that's a cool name.
One of my favorite of all time, and man, why didn't I put this guy on here? This guy he played for Purdue, and his name was E'Twaun Moore.
E'Twaun Moore,
man. E'Twaun Moore, man, I don't know. I'm not quite full.
Hold on a second. Didn't E'Twaun Moore play for the Pelicans?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he did. And so, I'm not quite hungry. I'm not quite full enough. I think I can E'Twaun Moore.
E'Twaun Moore.
I think I can E'Twaun Moore. E'Twaun Moore was...
Is Emeka Okafor on that?
Emeka Okafor was a GOAT.
Yeah, that dude was really good.
There's so many. Parfait Bite.
Who also was a Pelican. Emeka was also a Hornet.
Jazz Williams, Jason Hannibal. Man, so many good names. And then it says here, the Holy One, Jesus Verdejo, or Jesus Verdejo. So, from South Florida.
Man.
Long list of those.
Man, what a fun list. It's going to be a fun time running out basketball. Let me just throw it at you. Next week is the GOAT. Then we're coming down with basketball movies. We're going to finish this thing up like we do with sports all the time. Our top 4. more of basketball. Those last two, we're going to have some friends that are going to join us, a new guest and an old guest. So stay tuned and see what happens. Andy, I think it's time to let our friends go.
You stuck around long enough to listen to it like we always do. This is the Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top
four
and nothing more.
Peace.